Good afternoon, fourth grade. Today we're going to continue reading in chapter 24, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. And we are focusing on this question, what do these embedded stories reveal about the author's view of storytelling? You have a quick write. It says, how have the stories Ba tells given Min Lee hope? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. Our vocabulary words for today are the same as yesterday. The first word is destiny. That refers to the events that happen so that you can fulfill your purpose or your future. That would refer to this picture. The second word is insecure. That's when you are not confident or anxious. And that refers to this picture. Draw a line. The last word is half-hearted, and that's when you lack enthusiasm or energy. And that's this picture. Turn the page, and we're going to start reading on the bottom of page 146. And we're going to use our CSPS strategy. All right, and so we're at the part where the lions have told Dragon that he's the one who destroyed the city 100 years ago. And, Dragon was confused, and so they tell him the story. It says, about 100 years ago, the female lion said, the king's father fled his home village. A dragon had destroyed his palace, and his people had cast him out, saying he was bad luck. He came here intending to make his home with his son and live off his son's wealth and power as the king of the city of bright moonlight. There were bad times here for the city, as the king's father and officials he brought with him were corrupt and greedy. We were very concerned. Yes, the dragon said. Wait, you, the dragon said? Why would it concern you? Why would it concern us? It is completely our concern, the male lion said. We are the guardians of the city. It is our responsibility to watch and keep the city turning. To see it begin to crack alarmed us to no end. And the lion held out the round ball he held in his hand and showed Dragon an old deep fracture that was slowly being filled in with dust of the earth. What did you do? Dragon said. And we'll stop right there because we have some information about the characters, the guardians of the city. And so in box 1 we would write, the guardians of the city are responsible for keeping the city safe. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we would write down this quote at the top of page 147. We are the guardians of the city. It is our responsibility to watch and keep the city turning. To see it begin to crack alarmed us to no end. Press pause to write down the quote and play when you're ready to keep reading. And we are at a string of destiny. And so the lions, or the guardians of the city, are about to tell Dragon a story about how they kept their world from breaking in two. We were afraid the city would break. As the times became more turbulent with secret meetings and violent outbursts, we watched the crack in our world widen. It was only a matter of time, we thought, before it would tear into two. And so if we stop right there, we have the setting of the story. We know that it is in the city, and we know the city they're referring to is the city of bright moonlight. So in box 2, we would write, the story takes place outside of the wall of the city of bright moonlight. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we would write this sentence down that says, we were afraid the city would break. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the problem. All right, and so we know the problem because it says the times became turbulent and they watched the crack widened, and they were afraid it would tear into two. So for the problem, we would write, the king's father was corrupt and he was causing the world that the guardian holds to crack. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we would write down this sentence from the bottom of page 147. As the times became more turbulent with secret meetings and violent outbursts, we watched the crack in our world widen. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the next part of the story. Let's keep reading to figure out how the guardians solve their problem and prevent their world from cracking in two. One night, as we despaired, we saw a figure walking in the moonlight. Bent and old, he glowed like a lit lantern. Turned the page. When we saw he was carrying a large book and a small sack, we knew instantly it was the old man of the moon and called him over. Please help us, we begged him. We need to keep the city together. The old man of the moon looked at us, our outstretched cracking globe and our pleading faces. Without a word, he sat down before us and opened his book, leafing through the pages and stroking his beard. After several minutes of consulting his book, he opened his sack and handed us a red thread. You are to hold this until it is needed, the old man told us, and then slapped his book shut and walked away, ignoring our words of thanks. We knew the old man of the moon had given us a string of destiny, one of the very strings he used to bind people together. It was a marvelous gift. While he left us no instructions, we guessed that we were to use it to tie around the city if it looked as if it were to split. After that, night after night, we watched our sphere, ready to use the string at the first signs of breakage. Unsure of its power or abilities, we dared not use it for anything but the direst of circumstances. But the crack did not grow. Unexpectedly, the king renounced his father. He exiled him and his officials from the city, and harmony returned. Slowly, the fracture was filled with the powder of earth and stone, and I have held the string unused. All right, so we'll go back and we have our solution. And the guardians asked the old man of the moon for help, and he handed them a string of destiny to use when the time was right. The king's father left the city and peace returned. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we will write this sentence at the bottom of page 148. While he left us no instructions, we guessed that we were to use it to tie around the city if it looked as if it were to split. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. All right, now you are ready for the paragraph. It says, describe the challenge the guardians of the city faced and how they responded to the challenge.